to push through the pain and not burn as we walk through the fire. Though we know there's something much greater than us, our heart's desire tells us the only thing important is us. From life's first cry to our final resting position is a constant jockeying for significance and attention. And as we chase the Grim Reaper with his diamond-covered sickle, or send our brother to meet him with vanity's pistol, it's clear that we are craving life, yet misdirected, trapped in the snare of night. Who can save us from this dastardly device? Give us purpose as we claw and we fight. This can't be it. I'm sure there's more. Show us a life worth dying for. Let's pray. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for this beautiful Sabbath morning. We thank you for all those who are able to make it here. Please give me as I speak. Give me the words to speak. In Jesus' name, amen. The scripture that I decided to go with this sermon is 1 Peter 2, 9 through 10. And like it was read beautifully earlier, I'm going to read it from a different translation. I'm going to read it from the Message translation. But you are the ones chosen by God, chosen for the high calling of priestly work, chosen to be a holy people, God's instruments to do his work, and to speak out for him, to tell others of the night and day difference he made for you, from nothing to something, from rejected to accepted. The one dreaded question that all the teens and people hate to hear at family gatherings are, oh, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do when you grow up? At age 18, the world expects us to know everything and have all of our lives planned out. We're expected to make at least $51,000 a year, have a house of at least 2,600 square feet, have a wife, and 2.5 kids. I don't know how you get 0.5 of a kid. And then also be able to retire. Every moment of your life is lived for the future. You go to high school so you can go to college, so you can get a good job, so you can get a nice house, so you can afford to send your kids to college, so that they can get a good job, so they can get a nice house and be able to afford to send their kids to college. The cycle repeats over and over and over. We expect school to teach us all that we need to know and to move on to the next chapter in our lives. But instead of learning how to pay taxes or get a mortgage or learning what a loan or APR is, we learn how the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. This leaves many youth confused about what path to take in their lives. It also makes them question, what is their purpose? As a teen myself, I questioned my purpose in life quite regularly. Being a fourth, I thought I was deprived of many opportunities. Because Stan and Jay went to academy, and Joey and I couldn't go to academy. So, but hey, all my life I wanted to be a lawyer. Everyone told me, Josh, I can see you as a lawyer, go to law school. I was like, yes. Anytime I got into an argument, there was no way I was losing. I thought I was arguing for OJ or Michael Jackson, something like that. I couldn't lose. But I was planning on which law school to go to. I was looking at it. I don't know, but I guess I just never looked at tuition costs when I was little. Because I told my mom I was going to Mercer Law School. And if you guys haven't looked at Mercer Law School, it's about $50,000 a year. So my mom said no. And when she said no, I had to figure out what I was going to do with my life. All my life, she told me to do one thing, and the one thing I thought I would be good at, I can't do. So I decided to go and follow my father's path and pursue a career to be a principal. But first, before being a principal, you have to be a teacher. So I decided to go with the two subjects that I thought I was good at in high school, which was English and government. So my major was English and political science. Looking back now, being 2 years in college, look at all the schools I applied to. I applied to UGA, Berry, Mercer, GCSU. I didn't accept any of those. And looking back at Berry, if I had got accepted, my mom wouldn't have paid the $30,000 by herself for tuition. She paid for it. I was accepted into Southern Adventist University and Valdosta State. I swore on my life that I didn't want to go to school again with my sister and be called her twin or little brother. So I said I wasn't going to go to an Adventist school. Instead, I went to Valdosta. But looking back on it now, I did not go for all the right reasons. I let my judgment become clouded, and even though I chose the school for my own personal gains, God was still going to get his point across. Visiting the church for a short amount of time makes it seem like there's no flaws. But after being there for a while, you get to see the cracks and the faults. In Valdosta, the church is a little bit divided. The two churches combined, and there's some who have some discretions. When I first got to Valdosta, they didn't have a pastor. Their previous two pastors, sadly, had both passed away. So I was there for a week before Pastor Mark Waters was assigned to the church. And quickly, after not having a pastor for roughly 2-3 years, you get a pastor in. That pastor is running basically a chicken with his head cut off, having to do so much stuff in so little time. And being a small church, I was involved in doing a lot of things. So I was there for maybe 3-4 months, and I was asked to be a Pathfinder director. At that time, I was 18. There's Pathfinder directors who have more experience than I have years on this earth. But I was asked to do that. And being 18 and a Pathfinder director, that's totally different. Like, I was used to seeing my sister and the Chandrisa and Jamie all leadership positions, and it's like, but I'm 18, I'm technically, I can still be in Pathfinder. Yeah, I'm a director. It made no sense to me. At one point, I was Pathfinder director, I had no deputy director, praise and worship leader, AV team leader, PE teacher, and youth ministries assistant, all at the same time. But I don't have any gray hair, so I think I'm going pretty good. Attending a public university was something I thought I was prepared for. But no one can completely be prepared for the foolishness that can go on in a public university. Not only do the students not act like they have any kind of home training, but some of the teachers are just as bad as the students. I mean, you go in a class and the teacher says, one by one, raise your hand and yell out your favorite cuss word in class. I don't know what to think. And when the teachers admit that they graded your paper while under the influence of alcohol, I'm starting to wonder how much you're going to pay to get a doctorate degree. With all the troubles I had going on at school and those at church, I simply felt overwhelmed. As a student, I seemed to study more than I ever had, but for some reason, my grades would not reflect that. In high school, I was the type of student that I could be in class, remember it, get the A. In college, I could be in class, remember it, study for 27 hours in a day, and still get a C-. It's like, my GPA was not bad, but it was still not up to the standards I knew that I had and my mother would have. I knew I could do better. Somehow I made it through another semester, and for the summer, I got this great idea of trying and applying at Cohutta Springs Youth Camp. Over the summer, I faced many difficulties, but I was able to complete my first summer at Cohutta as a counselor. My first decision was actually deciding to apply to work at camp. Because I wasn't at Adventist University, I didn't think I had any chance of working at an Adventist camp because I wouldn't get to have the interactions and know the people. But with a little help from Pastor Mark and God, I was able and I was offered a position. Over 150 people applied for just 88 jobs. I was offered the position as a counselor, even though it wasn't my first option. My first option actually was night watch, and then it went to gym, and then it was counselor. Counselor was my last option. The pampering people trust me with their kids. I guess it works out that way. Even when it seems that we're making the right choices, the devil likes to throw a monkey wrench in to distract us. The week before I was supposed to leave for staff week at camp, I went out for a normal job of what I thought was going to be normal, but instead I resulted in pulling my hamstring. And for all those who don't know what a pulled hamstring is like, it is the worst thing ever. You can't bend your leg. It's stuck in whatever position it's in. And for those who haven't been to Cohutta, it's located in North Georgia. It's uphill both ways, no way you put it. So I was forced to work most of the summer with a pulled hamstring. But I've realized that now that the pulled hamstring was actually a blessing in disguise. But before I learned that, I pulled it 4 more times while I was at camp. You can ask Gable here that I wanted to play capture the flag really bad, and my hamstring said no. I didn't listen to it. But because of pulling my hamstring, I wasn't able to play. So not being able to play, I was more able to focus on the kids, the ones who weren't playing, the ones who didn't want to play. I was able to talk to them and have these conversations and build these interpersonal relationships and talk to the kids. When the staff arrived 1 week prior to camp is like a dormant creation. There's nothing going on, but during staff week, we plant flowers, we power wash, we do things like that to prepare for camp. A typical day of staff week began at 7 o'clock in the morning and ran to about 11 o'clock at night. You could be assigned from anything to pressure washing in the rain, which I was, to exterminating wasps with extreme prejudice. When I walked into the large upper room at Cohutta, I saw 85 faces that I had no idea who they were, but quickly we were introduced and became family. It's amazing how backbreaking work can form bonds. As staff week quickly came to an end, I became more nervous. While I wouldn't have my own cabin for the first few weeks, I was still scared. Pastor Rob said to make sure to blow their minds and make this their best week ever. Being a sub-counselor is like a traveling salesman. You're with kids for roughly 24 hours and then you're shipped out to another cabin. So just when you start to learn some names, you're gone. It's also bad when the kid's like, do you remember me? Yeah, buddy, I remember you. My first week that I had a cabin was Adventure Week. Adventure Week, there's 7 to 9-year-olds. Not my particular cup of tea. But my cabin somehow had ages 6.5 to 11. So we got off to a rough start because, as you know, 6.5-year-olds can be interesting people. But everyone else was having fun. Then the devil decided to rear his evil head. During Adventure Camp, there was also a wakeboarding rad camp. And we had blessed to have an instructor by the name of Will Green. He was the #1 collegiate wakeboarder in the nation. He didn't have to come to camp. He wasn't paid to come to camp. He came to camp because he loved it, and he loved teaching kids how to wakeboard. And sadly, while trying to accomplish a very complicated maneuver, he was injured, and sadly, he passed away the next day. The staff received this bad news during lunch, and they were all torn. But Pastor Rob reminded us that we had over 200 kids downstairs, and this could be their first week at camp, and we still had to make it their best week at camp. Till this day, I know that it was nothing short of God stepping down, helping us make it through that week. Will chose to follow Christ each and every day, and that summer, our theme was Choose to Follow. So we know that he chose to follow Christ each and every day, and that's just another thing that we need to be more focused and choose to follow him each and every day. We had these campers come every week. They're from Clarkston, Georgia. If you guys aren't familiar with Clarkston, it's just outside of Atlanta. Clarkston population is 31.8% foreign-born. It is called the most diverse square mile in the world. 60 languages are spoken within 1.4 miles. The local high school has students from 54 different countries speaking 47 different languages. Almost 2,500 new refugees come every single year. Every week we had these kids come by the busload, and every week we would see how big their smiles would grow by the end of the week. We had no idea why they had left their native countries or how they ended up in Georgia out of all states. But I consider that to be a blessing. They're able to come to camp and learn more about Christ than many of them ever knew. Some are even baptized because of the experience that they have at camp. Escaping their home nations and coming to America helped them learn more about Christ. But what about those who are still over there? How would they hear the message of the gospel? Ever since camp was over, I haven't been able to get that thought out of my head. In particular, I began to think about Miguel. Those who are members of this church know that 5-6 years ago, Miguel went on this short-term mission trip to Bolivia, and all of us know that he still hasn't came back. We all know that he's not gonna come back. He's still gonna serve. And so, while he was here last December, I decided jokingly, like, yeah, Miguel, I'm coming down there. I'm gonna take a year off school and I'm gonna go. Right, Mom? And to my surprise, my mom said I could go. For those who don't know my mother, no is always the answer. It's like, no, everything. It's like, no, you can't do that. But surprisingly, she said yes. Camp changed my perspective on things. For once, it changed my perspective on Southern Adventist University. Going up to camp is roughly 45 minutes from Southern, so I got to see more of Southern. My only time ever going to Southern in the 4 years my sister has been up there was actually for her graduation last year. I had never been, ever. And I wanted to go to Southern after camp. I wanted to be there with my friends. But Southern does not offer my current major. Like in my introduction, you heard that I'm an English and political science double major and with a Spanish minor. But I couldn't go to Southern because Southern doesn't offer political science as a major, only a minor. And who wants just to have a minor and make yourself different? You gotta have two majors. But going back to VSU after camp, my struggles continued in the classroom. I quit my job working on campus and teaching PE at our local Adventist school so that I would have more time to study, but still, my grades were not improving. I began to question what was going on in my life and what was my purpose. I thought that God wanted me to be a teacher and wanted me to do this, so why was I failing my classes? I was continually awakened at 5 o'clock in the morning for no reason whatsoever. I have a slight sleep insomnia, so I don't usually sleep, but I usually can sleep between 2 and 6 in the morning. Those are my good hours of getting sleep. But I kept waking up at 5 for no reason. Finally, I called my mom and talked to her about it, and she said to immediately start to pray and tell God that I was listening. I did that, but I didn't get a response, or so I thought. I started to question, why am I an education major in the first place? Like, I wanted to be a principal because I was told I had good leadership capabilities and that my dad was it, people could see me being. But I started to think, the main reason I want to be a principal is because principals clear 6 figures. Principals make a killing. Jones County's principal, our school system of the high school, we have roughly 2,000 students. He clears $108,000 a year. Principals in Atlanta can be clearing $500,000. And so I was thinking, I chose to go into it, and I was more focused on making a career for money, and not the fact that when you go into education, it's about the kids. It's for the kids, to help the kids. And so, I had forgotten about honoring God in whatever field I chose to go into. That's when I decided to take a year off from school, put all of my plans on hold, and try to follow God's plan. I felt like He was calling me to do something greater. And going to Bolivia, I feel like that is going to be the first step in going to my calling to determine what is greater. All of my life, I've been told, Josh, you're really great at public speaking. I'm like, okay, public speaking, that's not a major. You can take a public speaking class in college, but that's not a major. But I kept pushing it back, like, okay, I'm just a good speaker, that's fine. But since high school, someone has said, like, Josh, do you ever thought about going into the ministry? And I was like, well, I kind of thought about it back in high school. But going into the ministry is like, I don't want to be a PK and have stuck-up kids who think they're better than other kids. And all these stereotypical pastor's kids. And yes, after going to Southern, there are some stereotypical pastor's kids who think because their dad works for the conference, they are higher than that. But I quickly brushed that idea aside in high school and put it behind me because I didn't want to go to Southern. Fast forward almost 3 years, and the idea has come back. At first, I simply just prayed about it and asked some close friends about it. I was shocked by their responses. Some said, I've been praying for you to become a pastor. God can definitely use you in the ministry, and I know you do a great job. I was kind of shocked. I thought my friends would say, are you crazy? Why would you want to do such a thing? But over the past few months, I've had to speak on 3 separate occasions. And after each one, I've had people come up to me and ask me my thoughts about going into the ministry, even though they had no idea that I was thinking about this in my mind. I had asked God for a sign, and He was clearly giving me that sign. So next year, I will be working in Bolivia with Miguel at the orphanage, and I'm taking a year off from school, which in normal circumstances, it is not a wise thing to do to take a year off of school, especially in the middle of your collegiate career. But I'm going to take that year off, go to Bolivia, and do what God wants me to do. To take a year off, get away from everything that this first world country has, the stress and stuff like that, and to go to Bolivia. And upon returning for my mission trip into Bolivia, I will be attending Southern Adventist University, where I will be majoring in theology. I have rededicated my life to Christ, and when He leads, I will follow. You can't fulfill God's purpose in life if we're too focused on our own purpose. But focusing on ourselves will never reveal our life's purpose. You didn't create yourself, so there is no way you can tell yourself what you were created for. I finally feel that I found my purpose in life. For those unsure of your purpose, I can't tell you what your specific purpose is, besides saving souls for the kingdom. Everyone has a purpose. Once you find out what your spiritual gifts are, and God has given you, it's a lot easier to decide what your purpose is. In between discovering your gifts and sharing them with others, you will find your purpose in life. Your life has a purpose. Your voice matters. You were born to make an impact. If you find yourself feeling unhappy about the way your life is going on this earth, it's okay. We are not meant to feel comfortable down here. This is just our temporary layover before we go home. Without God, life has no purpose. And without purpose, life has no meaning. Without meaning, life has no significance or hope. Your birth was no mistake or mishap, and your life is no fluke of nature. Your parents may not have planned you, but God did. He was not all surprised by your birth. In fact, He expected it. God sent His one and only Son down to this earth that He created to fulfill a purpose. He sent His Son to die upon a cross that we might be able to live and fulfill His purpose. He didn't have to do it, but He did. This life is not about me. It's not about how much money I make. It's not about the clothes I wear. It's all about Him. All about the man that spread his arms wide and died upon a tree for you and for me. We are called to do great things in life, whether they are big or small. We all have a purpose in life. While you may not know yours just yet, but I would offer you some advice. First, pray. Then step outside of your comfort zone. See, if we get too comfortable, we're never going to get used to change. We do not want our comfort zone to become our failure zone. You need to change your perspective. Sometimes in math, you look at a problem and you look at it, and you stare at it, and you keep looking at it the same way. And it's not until you change your perspective that you suddenly see the answer. Ask others, listen to your gifts. I have finally decided to listen to my gifts. Youth ministries has been something I have been in forever. Besides, Daryl and Santa asked me when I was like 7, say the AIM motto in pledge, but I don't want to say it. Say it. AIM, the Adventist message to all the world of this generation. Motto, the love of Christ constraineth us. Pledge, loving the Lord Jesus, I promise to take an active part in the work of the Adventist Youth Society, doing what I can to help others and to finish the work of the gospel into all of the world. From a very young age, I've always been involved in youth ministries, and I finally realized that this is what God is calling me to do. Whatever you decide to do, make sure you do it all for the glory of God. And there's one other thing I'm going to leave you with some song lyrics. A song called Today by New Old Sun. It says, maybe this time you will take the lead, and I won't try to pull you by the sleeve. Because whenever I try to do things my way, it goes wrong. So God, what are you going to do today? Everyone has a purpose. You need to make sure that you fulfill your purpose, which God has given you. Thank you.